I have a tendency to not want to read directions, and sometimes it comes back to haunt me. When I'm dealing with equipment that can basically turn you into a corkscrew, I'm going to read the directions just to be safe.
Hey friends, I'm Stacy.
And I'm Kevin.
And today we are going to be putting a post hole digger on the new tractor.
That's right, we need a post hole digger to put in a fence and put in some plants, different things like that, so it's going to come in very handy, save me from doing a lot of work.
Today we're going to show you how to set up the post hole digger onto your tractor.
Yeah, and when you get it, we got one from Tractor Supply. When you get it, it doesn't come with the oil in the gearbox, it's not attached, so there's several things that you have to do before you can actually use it. So we're going to take you through that process.
Let's get at it.
So what we got was a county line post hole digger that will work with the tractor anywhere from 18 to like 45 horsepower. Comes unassembled. It's kind of nice because it comes in this welded up box, which is, you know, kind of stout and holds it together pretty good, but we're going to need to put it together. There's a couple things we're going to need to do too. We're going to need to, looks like maybe these fittings are greased. I think we're going to have to grease some of these fittings as well. Make sure that we have oil in the gearbox before we get started because we don't want to burn anything up. So what I'm going to do is, they got it secured in here pretty well, so I got to get something to cut all these zip ties with, and then we'll pull it out piece by piece. First thing I want to do is go ahead and get the oil in the gearbox before we even start putting anything together. Little pro tip, I don't think it's going to take this full second cord. I think it's probably only going to take part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my original cap that I have not cut yet to cap the new one with when it's half full. So I'm going to take the cap off of the old one, put it onto this one, then I'm going to go ahead and start putting this in. Should be coming out any time. There it goes. So now, oops. I'm going to put that in. I'm going to hand that to my lovely assistant. Get these threads straight. Screw that in. Wipe off any spillage here. I'm going to tighten that up. I'm not going to reef it super tight, but I am going to get it pretty snug. All right, so I was looking for directions, and they have a little waterproof container for your little parts. So the parts are in there, and then also the directions, which is always good. I have a tendency to not want to read directions, and sometimes it comes back to haunt me. When I'm dealing with equipment that can basically turn you into a corkscrew, I'm going to read the directions just to be safe. I need to make a correction on the directions. My lovely assistant is going to read me the directions.
I will read the directions and translate for him.
Yes. I'm better at taking orders than I am reading directions, so yeah,
and I'm better at giving orders than following them.
Amen to that. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to attach the A-frame to the 3-point connectors. So I've got the hitch all the way down right now. What I'm going to do is put in the pins into the holes in the 3-point connector, and then we're going to put the pins in. Pin goes in there, and then the same thing on the other side. Okay, so according to the directions, that is step 1. So I'm going to lay it down this way, and now we're going to do step 2. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to connect the boom to the top link on the tractor. So it's going to use this big pin here, and it is going to go through here. This is going to flip the other way. We're going to bring it in here to this top hole. In between, put the pin through. Alright, so I use the pin provided by them to put in the top link, but there's only one of those, and according to the directions, I believe it goes down here with the A-frame. So you'll have to have your own hitch pin for the top link that you would normally have in there. So just make sure you have that, because I went through everything else in the pile of stuff, and all I have is nuts and bolts that are left, and none of them are big enough to do that. So I'm going to replace this. So this one, you can see the one I have isn't quite as long as that one. So just make sure you have your own top link pin to begin with. So now, according to the directions, we are going to take our A-frame, we're going to connect it into the second hole that based on the picture that they have in the directions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to straighten this up. I need to bring this 3-point hitch up a little bit. All right, hit a little bit more. Okay. All right. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is remove this pin, but it has cotter pins, so we have to straighten the cotter pin out first. And I'm going to straighten the pin out, and I'm going to pull that pin, and I'm going to pull this pin. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to carry the box over. I'm going to start the tractor up and bring it up higher so it's kind of more waist height for me. I'm going to hold it up, and my lovely assistant's going to push the pin through. Okay. I'm going to bend that up. I'm going to bend this other one down. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to bend these more. I don't like a cotter pin with just one tiny bend in it. So now we're going to attach the auger. So I'm going to lift the 3-point hitch up, and I got to make sure that I have enough room when it's attached, that it's off the ground pretty good. If it's not, then I'm going to have to move this pin up a little bit so that it's up, so when I'm driving, I can have it about 18 inches or about 12 inches off the ground. See, this won't be high enough. I'm going to have to move that pin up. So I don't think the directions were real good on that. It said second from the curved end, but for most tractors, it's probably going to be second from this end, unless you just have a really high tractor. So now we're going to remove the protective coating off of this. The directions recommend greasing the shaft. So I'm going to have to go get some grease out of the tool trailer. I feel like getting my hands all crazy. Okay, so we're going to try to line these. Hold up, do this one in the front here first, this low one. Okay, got the extra one over here. It's going to kind of lift that up a little bit. Yep, all right. All right, so they recommend that we clean this and check it for any nicks or dents. If there's nicks or dents, they recommend you file those. I don't see anything on here. It's a little bit kind of crusty, dirty just from shipping. So I'm gonna get some a rag and some solvent and just get that wiped off real quick, and then I'm gonna grease the shaft up. I haven't gotten this far in the directions yet, but either way, while I've got this sitting here before I put it on, I'm going to go ahead and grease my universal joint, because it doesn't look like there's any grease in there at all. There's grease on the shaft, but not on the universal joint. So I'm going to go ahead and grease that up good until I feel some good pressure there. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. So according to the directions, we're going to hook the shaft onto the gearbox. We're going to put the shear bolt through, kind of put a nut on that. We're going to tighten the set screw in and then back it off 1/4 of a turn. Then we're going to remove the shear bolt, and that should spin freely on the shaft.
Be careful when you're connecting everything to have it lined up. It really helps if you have something like a strap to hold the shaft in place while you're doing this. Once you have the set screw in there, back it off so that there's enough play in there that it'll spin. Then you can reconnect your shear bolt to connect everything and make sure everything's good and tight before you proceed. Be sure to lubricate the PTO shaft on the tractor before connecting the shaft. While connecting the shaft, you need to pull back on the collar, push the shaft into place, then release and make sure that it's locked into place. Next, it's time to connect the accessories tube. This is fairly simple with just 2 bolts holding it in place. This tube is quite handy for your additional pins, different things you would need. Having an extra shear bolt in there
Okay, there's a handle. You just put the handle on and then slide it through and then put your pin in. And what that does, it allows you to try to make sure it's straight up and down when you're boring the hole. So that way you can kind of make sure it's straight or whatever, and you don't have to get anywhere near it. Also, comes with these stands. They come in here and have a pin as well. You don't use these while you're operating it. It's to store it. So you basically, what you do is push down on this, you drop it down, and these hold it up when you remove it from the tractor. So I'm going to start the tractor, and I'm going to back up into an area where nothing is around me, and I'll have Stacy far enough away that when I engage the PTO, I'll engage it at a low RPM, and we'll make sure that everything is spinning and working correctly, and then I'll gently bring the throttle up to make sure it's still doing what I need it to do. If that way, if there's anything wrong, if I did anything wrong, or if there's anything wrong from the manufacturer, we'll know it before it happens. One piece that I need to do before I actually try this out is see how there's a little bit of swing right here. I can tighten these turnbuckles on the sides to make sure that I don't have as much swing back and forth. I don't want that when I go to start digging. I don't want it jumping around. Feel pretty good about this post hole digger, so we're going to put it to use today, hopefully putting in a gate and some other things. So remember, doing things yourself, but being careful with the piece of equipment that causes more injuries probably than any other kind of a piece of equipment, allows you to be free as long as you keep your arms and your legs. So be careful. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel. For more DIY tips and tricks, you can also visit our website at www.bfreebenson.com. See you in the next project.